SNL monologue because it was awesome. Tell me what you liked most about it. I thought while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and talk a little bit. Corey said I watch it. I missed most of it by the time I remembered he was on. Yeah, I didn't watch it till after the fact either. I didn't watch it the day of, but I watched it. I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, and I thought, oh my god! First of all, I love Dave Chappelle anyway. But the things that what I thought was awesome about it, he's true. He's true wherever he goes anyway. Uh, but the fact that in this time that is, pretty critical, I think, because there is so much. Um, I think there's so much, you know, uh, friction in the air, right? So you would think that. I don't know. He might be a little afraid to say some of the stuff he said, but he did not. He did not hold back at all, like he never does. Corey said he was on. He was introducing the band, and I had to turn it. Well, he said some interesting things. One of the things that he said, which I thought was great, he talked about being truthful in this United States. Considering the fact that that doesn't happen very often. But what he said was that it was a shame that, and I just thought this line was everything. He said it's a shame that, and of course, he has a way of building you up. He gets people excited and they're laughing and cackling, and in the middle of the cackle, he'll throw some knowledge at you that you weren't expecting. And that's kind of where we were when everybody was up and laughing, and he said it's a damn shame that you can't tell the truth in this country unless you end it with a punchline. Amy said, "Girl, I watched the musicians and was cracking up because they weren't at all. That one sitting in the very front, Amy." I said, "He gonna shit on himself." You could tell he was angry. Even though he had that mask over, he sat there the entire time like this. And then at one point, he did like this. And I don't remember what that was about, but it was, just two or three little claps. But other than that, that brother stood there staunch as if he probably was thinking, listen, y'all don't know who I got to go home to or who I got to deal with once I get off this stage. And I ain't about to be, I'm not about to be sucked in by Dave Chappelle because I got to go and see the other folk that don't care about Dave Chappelle. But I thought that line I thought was extremely telling. It was certainly the truth. But they said it with a laugh, of course, because they were in the middle of laugh when he hit him with that gut punch and said, "You can't even tell the truth about the racism in this world in this country, unless you followed up with a punchline." Amy said he's speaking on being humble during the time of victory. Him speaking, yeah, that was good too. Yeah, so at the very end, Corey, he talked about, yeah, that was very good. How we should be humble in a time of victory. If you were the person who was voting for Biden, right? And then he went on to explain, because he's the best storyteller. He's one of the best storytellers. Yeah, at the very end. Okay, so Corey, did you hear him talking about the fact that he remembered what it felt like to be in a situation where, you weren't the winner 4 years ago? And he gave several other examples. I can't remember what they were right now, but several other points to solidify the fact that you feel a certain way when you feel like when you feel like one thing he said was he had a target. He mentioned police officers having targets on their backs. He says, "I know what that feels like." And then he mentioned two or three other things, but he was talking about how all of those things that white people are feeling now, we felt them all before. And so he says it like in a way that he explains it in a way that I'm sure they're like, yes, that's exactly what I'm feeling. And once he gives you the example and lays out the example, then he'll turn it around and say, yeah, I know what that feels like. Because what's interesting is that he showed the dichotomy, between what they may be feeling like and the fact that they probably have not thought about. We felt the same way, that we're feeling the same way. So when he mentioned the thing about Reagan, for instance, when he talked about Reagan, I thought about his wife and that campaign that she did, that just say no to drugs, even though they have flooded the black community with drugs. They went through this whole campaign about just say no to drugs. Just say no to drugs, of course, which was a tag on to what he was doing. But what's interesting is that he talked about how many drug addicts really are in the white community now as a result of the stuff that's happened with the pandemic. When he said that, I'm gonna tell you what I thought about. I thought about one of my girlfriends told me that she went to the doctor, and I'm not sure what she went for. She said that she talked to her doctor about some anxiety medicine, but she didn't want to take any anxiety medicine. And she said that the doctor said to her, my girlfriend is a black lady. She said the doctor said to her, well, let me just say something to you, because she's asked her what was wrong. She asked her what was wrong. Why do you think you're stressed out, so on and so forth. And she began to say some of the reasons that she felt like she was stressed out. But one of the things that she said, and I'm a black woman, and and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth, and I have black male relatives in my family, and so on and so forth. And she said that the doctor said, well, I don't want to discount anything that you said. I don't know why this looks like it's anyway. She said the doctor said, I don't want to discount anything that you said. She said, but let me just say something to you that you may not be aware of. And then the doctor went on to tell her that a lot of her patients, a lot of her white female patients were dealing with some of the same issues in terms of they've been asking for. She said, you don't want to take medication. She said, and I got to fight them about medication, because many of them have become drug addicts. This is the doctor telling her. Many of them have become addicts and have become dependent on, anything that will lighten their load. She said, so don't feel like it's just you, because I want you to know that white women are probably feeling it more than many. And she talked about this, which I thought was interesting. The doctor said to her that there were a lot of her patients that come in and they're stressed out simply because, or they're dealing with a certain stress that had to do with the fact that they no longer believe in Trump and his presidency, but they don't have the voice, can't voice it in their households, and they don't feel comfortable or empowered enough to vote for anyone else because their husbands are looming over them. I thought, wow, that is some deep shit right there. That is some deep shit. So that's kind of the stuff that he was touching on in the monologue. The fact that the ailings that they are experiencing as a result of this pandemic is the same shit that black folks have been dealing with for years and years and years. So it was okay when they flooded the ghettos and they flooded the black community with drugs and Reagan's thought to us or what he suggested that we do was just get over it, pretty much. He said, but it's hard to get over it when doing the shoe, right? It's the same shit. We all dealing with the same shit. That's really what it came down to. So I thought that was a very powerful monologue. And I'm not even scratching the surface. That's why I was trying to watch it with y'all. I ain't even scratching the surface because it was pretty big. Anything else that you want to add or Amy, anything else you all want to say, please go ahead and do that now in the chat. Since I came back on, since we loaded back up, I can't see at all who's on. So I'm going to look on my phone right now because I can't see anything. So of course, that's what she saw. She said, I did see all. Oh, you saw all of that part. Oh, I didn't hear that. Sorry. I'm giving you all the background, all the business. All right. Corey said, what ridiculousness and insanity. I'll be labeled the angry black woman before anybody makes me vote a particular way. Silly. Yeah, that's how I feel too. I thought when she just shared that with me, I thought, damn, that's heavy, However, we've dealt with a lot of heavy shit. So I'm just saying, I just didn't imagine, and I guess the doctor knew that we wouldn't have imagined. That's why she told my girlfriend, I'm gonna tell you something that you may not be aware of. There are a lot of folk, a lot of white women that are feeling the pressure, some real pressure, and that they're, the way they take their medications, are a pure example of that. Need I say more? So share the do me a favor, ladies. Thank you for coming in too. I appreciate you coming back. I appreciate you so coming back. Please do me a favor and share the stream now that we are back on. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready for the next topic. If you have anything else you'd like to share about the Dave Chappelle SNL monologue, please, please, let's do that. Please do that now. But I'm a little upset now because I had another video for y'all set up, but I do have some paperwork, so I can, for my just in case. Thank God it's just in case, right? Or we be in trouble. Hey, Tracy, Trace, you found your way back. What's going on, woman? What's going on? I wish that we really could have had that Dave Chappelle monologue discussion, because I know you would have had something to say about Dave Chappelle in that monologue. I know that. Anything you'd like to add about that monologue, Tracy? What was your takeaway from the from Dave Chappelle's monologue on SNL? I'm just assuming that you watched it. Let me know what your takeaway was. We are talking about how powerful it was. Corey said, I'm thinking about us arguing about Ice Cube and the weaklings are being intimidated into voting for a fool. Right. Yeah, weaklings. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, when you say weaklings, I'm just thinking about the fact that, yeah, that's probably a good name for it, because well, let me say, my understanding, or from my experience, from what I can tell, a lot of times, yeah, let me just leave that. Let me leave that right there. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm leaving it right there. Tracy said, what's good? Dave is the boldest, absolutely boldest. That's it. The boldest comic in the industry. My takeaway is he gives zero fucks. Yeah, that's a great takeaway, Tracy, because he don't. Wait, let me take that back. Let me see. Amy said, "Bring on the angels from Africa, girl." That bullshit. Tracy said he gives zero fucks. So I'm gonna say, I think you're right. I think he gives zero fucks when we're talking about what white folks might think about what he say. But I'm gonna tell you this. I don't know if people real. Oh, I'm sure thinking people will. But one thing that he do give a fuck about, and that is the black community. I'm not sure what kind of philanthropy he's into or any of that, but I know that when he speaks his heart to white people, and to power, you can hear his love for his community. You can hear his love for who he is. One thing I like about him too, I was thinking about this earlier today. One thing I like about Dave Chappelle is he is unapologetically a black man, right? But he doesn't lord it over you. It's not. He's not. I don't know if you'll ever see him with wearing mud cloth and a dashiki. I'm not sure about any of that. I've never seen him anything like that. But I know that if you really hear his conversation when it comes to the disparages between black and white people, and the black community and white people, you can really hear his love for the black community, I believe. I do know, yes, I sure do know he still lives in Antioch, Tracy. I was telling Famara that last night when we were watching the video. I said to him, he actually lives about 15 minutes from Wilberforce. Yeah, I know he lives in Antioch. Ain't that something? Is it called Antioch, or it's called Yellow Springs, isn't it? I think it's called Yellow Springs, Ohio, but the school is Antioch, if I remember correctly. But I remember this though, Trace. Let me tell y'all this. I don't know if you all have ever been to Wilberforce University or the Central State University, but let me tell you something about the area or the little town that Dave Chappelle lives in. And my understanding is he was raised there. He said that I think he says he's from Atlanta or something like that, but he wasn't raised wherever he was. He was raised in Yellow Springs, I believe it is. But listen, let me tell you about Yellow Springs. So funny. So Tracy and I went to school together at Wilberforce University. That's where we met. But there's a back road. I can't remember. Yeah, I think so, Tracy. She said, I can't. You may be right. I just remember white folk laying in the grass, standing in the sun. Exactly. Listen. And Antioch College is also the same college that Martin Luther King's wife went to. I'll never forget that. But anyway, let me tell you about Yellow Springs. So it's about 15 minutes from our school, which was in the cornfield. Tracy, what's the name of that? What's that road? What's that back road that you take you straight into Yellow Springs? If you were on the road, if you left, hey, Kenya, what's going on? Oh, awesome! Thank you, Boulevard 40. I appreciate that. Okay, so there is a road, a back road, in the back of Wilberforce University. You could take this back road, one straight shot straight to Yellow Springs, which is what Dave is talking about. Now, this is what's funny. I am not lying to you when I say if you get on that road, you go that first, I don't know, that first 7-8 miles, and everything seems like regular. She said, not sure. That's right. We used to call it the backbone. That's right, the backbone. You take the backbone straight into Yellow Springs. You go maybe 7-8 miles, and everything was just normal, seemingly. But God is my witness. I'm not exaggerating to you. You go more than maybe 9 exactly. 10 miles, Tracy said pitch black. Yes, pitch black, right? But not only pitch black. You go about that 9th or 10th mile, and it seems like, which is probably the case, and I think about it, it's probably really more than what I'm being silly, but anyway. The atmosphere, it's like the air changes. Because the deeper you go into that blackness that Tracy is writing about, you all of a sudden you can't hear nothing but a bird every now and go chirp, chirp, chirp. Chirp, 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 chirp. Chirp, chirp. Exactly. We used to be like, it's like going into the Twilight Zone because everything changes. Everything slows down. So you drive about, after you start hearing nothing but chirp, chirp, chirp. Chirp. Chirp, chirp. It's almost like you think that the birds aren't real birds. They planted somewhere. These ain't real birds. These birds are planted somewhere. These are fake birds in the trees. After you hear that for maybe 3 or 4 miles, you through darkness, it just opens up into this little town, and I'm not lying. You open to this little town, and there's nothing like, because this is the kind of stuff that we would see. First of all, they don't have no commercial business, not no big commercial businesses there, so you ain't gonna find no McDonald's. They have their own little pizza parlors and their own little mom and pops. They don't let big companies come in there. She said Tracy, our town was Mayberry then. You switch into the Twilight Zone. Right. Like Mayberry going. That's true, Tracy. Going from Wilberforce to Yellow Springs was like going from Mayberry to the Twilight Zone. That's absolutely true. So it opens up and you start seeing these people, this little town area. And it would be nothing to see, for instance, a black man sitting on his porch with his Puerto Rican wife and the Asian child that they adopted, or I don't know, had. It's weird. Everybody's quiet. Everybody's slow. Everybody's talking. Hey, how you doing? And everybody looked like hippies. That's the first place I ever saw Birkenstock, because they have stores that's all they carry. You see these little mom pop shops, and all they carry is hippie paraphernalia, and it's a lot of that over there. So it really is like going into the Twilight Zone. It's a very interesting place to go too. If you wanted to, Tracy said everybody is high. That's the truth. At least that's what it seems like. Corey, Dave Chappelle and his family fit right. That's exactly. They fit right in. You're absolutely right. And my understanding is his father was a college professor, and I want to say that he may have been a professor at Antioch. Don't quote me on that. But no, you're absolutely right. They fit right in, because it's like walking into Woodstock or something like that. It's weird, but it's a very serene place to be. And it probably is. My thought is they probably don't have any hotels. I don't know that. They probably have bed and breakfasts there. But it would be a good place for Airbnb, because it's very serene, very surreal, honestly. So, yes. So there we go. That is that Dave Chappelle. Anybody else want to add to what we know about Dave? Let's do that. And if not, we're going to move on. Tracy said, and they know who they know who the outsiders are, because you're gonna come in there with some jeans that are not Levi. Yeah, they know you because everybody know everybody. You're absolutely right. You come in and they watch you too. When you come down that one row, you come in, it's kind of look at you like, I think that somebody's ringing the bell, letting them know up front. Some, an outsider. There's an outsider here. There's an outsider here. I ain't lying. So yeah, that's my experience with Yellow Springs, Ohio, and my experience with Dave Chappelle's latest SNL monologue. All right, all right, all right. So Tracy, I mean not Tracy, but Amy is ready to move on to the big thing. Let us do this real quickly before we do that. We're going to do a let's do tea time real quickly. We'll do that. So time for tea. Time for tea. I'm not sure what kind of tea you are drinking, but I am drinking green tea with elderberry syrup tonight. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits of green tea. You all can see that on the screen, I'm sure. So the benefits of green tea: it prevents eye disease, prevents diabetes, improves dental health, improves memory. It's known to protect the heart, good for cancer prevention, helps to lower your blood pressure, is good for weight loss, improves bone density. Now, this is my first time hearing this. I don't know if you all knew that already, but that's my first time hearing that it improves bone density. That's good to know, especially as if you're anywhere near my age. It's good to know that it's good for bone density. That's great. And then reduces cholesterol levels. Those things we know. What I'm learning, ladies, I'm not sure if you have or not, but what I'm learning about tea as I've been drinking it with this, during this program, is I'm realizing that a lot of the teas have a lot of the same properties. So there may be like two or three properties that are different, but a lot of them have, four or five properties that are pretty much the same, which is interesting to me because I didn't know that. Let's see what Tracy just wrote. She said, I'll play this week. I'm starting a box of Yogi Green Tea Blueberry Slim Life. Oh, Yogi is awesome. It is awesome. All right, let me go on to, I told you I'm taking green tea with elderberry. So let's move on to elderberry real quickly. Okay, here we are. So you can see what the elderberry looks like. If you didn't know that, you do now. The benefits of elderberry. Here we go. It eliminates constipation and boosts gastrointestinal system. Wait a minute. Yeah. Boosts gastrointestinal system. It should say systems or boosts the gastrointestinal system. Okay, I'm sorry. That's the language arts teacher in me. All right, beneficial in reducing blood pressure. There we go. See, and managing diabetes. So it seems like for the most part, most teas will do that, will help with blood pressure and diabetes. I did not know that. I'm learning that as I am trying these different kinds of teas. Helps with weight loss and boosts immune systems. Now, we knew that. That's the reason we started in terms of the boosting your immune system. Reduces the appearance of wrinkles and age spots. Now, I didn't know that. This is elderberry, ladies, if you're looking for that. Although we know most of the time black don't crack, but it's good to be, a little seasoned. You might have a little cracking. So this is good to know. I didn't know this about elderberry. Aids in eliminating excess cholesterol. There we go again. We hear that quite a bit with teas. Okay, here's another one. Promotes bone strength. There's another one that promotes bone strength. I didn't know that. Maybe the Lord is telling me something about my bones. I didn't know that. Development of new bone tissues. That's good to know as you become an older woman. That's especially in menopause because you have bone issues in menopause. And it alleviates respiratory conditions such as cold and cough. And that is one of the reasons that we are here for tea time, right? All right, ladies, let me know what you're drinking. Tracy says she is drinking a box of Yogi green tea with blueberry Slim Life. Tracy, we know what the green tea is for. Do you have any idea what the properties of the blueberry might be? If you do, please share them with us. Let me know. Or let us know. Or should I say let us know? Okay, Tracy says she's looking at anybody else. Anybody else drinking a tea that you'd like to share with us tonight? Let me know. Oh, I was going to tell you this, the elderberry syrup. I was going to share this with you. So this is the syrup that I'm putting in my this always trips me out the way this thing happens with the camera, you know, when it gives you that backwards image or whatever. Anyway, you see it, Honey Gardens elderberry syrup. So one of my girlfriends bought this for me. And I think that you're supposed, well, Corey said, I'm trying to stay away. No tea for me. I'd be asleep in no time. Okay. What about the vitality teas? I got a couple vitality teas, Corey, that are give you energy. Oh, well, here we go. Tracy said the blueberry provides energy and supports stamina. I didn't know that. Oh, Amy says she takes a teaspoonful of elderberry every day. Ah, now I knew the elderberry was great for immune boosting. The so Tracy already knows. She said this elderberry syrup is crack because it is tasty. That's what I was going to say. It's tasty. It has, but you know what's interesting because it has in it a lot of the same stuff that I put in my concoction tea. I think I told you about that. I'll tell you about it if I didn't. The concoction tea is something I made up in Atlanta because we started getting all these sinus infections that I never had before. And I made this concoction out of it. I think I told y'all what it is, but I'll put it in the chat before we go in case you want it. But a lot of the stuff that's in that is in this right here. So in this elderberry syrup, it says with raw honey, organic apple cider vinegar, and propolis. I don't know what that is, but it says this is the traditional immune formula. Okay, Boulevard 40 said, I'm in the parking lot ready to head in. I have my green tea in my locker and elderberry gummies waiting on me. All right. So you could take a couple of them gummies and drop them in that tea, I bet, if you wanted to. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Kenya. Corey said, I drink tea during the day. I had lemon, ginger, pineapple, cinnamon, honey today. Oh, my God. All in one tea? That sounds good. Did you boil all that together? Honey. I mean, she said lemon, ginger, pineapple. That's like a tropical tea. Cinnamon and honey today. Oh, okay. So Tracy says she uses that sambucol black elderberry. I saw that. Okay, Kenya said, I'm going to listen to the replay from the start when I get settled in since I came in late. Thank you, Kenya. Kenya has her own YouTube channel. Matter of fact, I learned a couple things from her for my YouTube channel, from her YouTube channel called Boulevard 40. So y'all check her out. She is booming too. Her station, you know what this is? That's stopping me? Avion. That's what it is. Her channel is blooming. It's blossoming. So check her out at Boulevard 40. Oh, Corey said, yes, she boiled it. Oh. Tracy said her elderberry was crackalicious. Does it? Never heard that before. Tracy, did yours have the apple cider vinegar in it too? Because I feel like that's what's making this one tasty. But did yours have the apple cider vinegar in it? Let me know. This one, Honey Gardens, she said no. Okay. Is it tart or just sweet? This one, my girlfriend bought for me from, I think she said Trader Joe's. I believe it is. I keep trying to show you the label, but I fucking can't show you the label because the damn. All right, there we go. Honey Gardens. It is tasty. Boulevard said, I always really enjoy spearmint tea. Do not know what health benefits it has. I just find it soothing. Oh. I had a peppermint green, a Moroccan peppermint green last week. But when I drank it, I thought to myself, I wonder if I can find some spearmint tea because I like spearmint better than just regular mint, like peppermint. Oh, Tracy said hers is more sweet. Okay. So I had to try the sambuco. So I guess is how you say it. I don't know. All right. Let us take a quick little break. It is a time to put more in your cup. If you're going to do that, take a bathroom break if you need to do that. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the next thing is going to be our tantrum on COVID vaccine. And that'll be a shorter one because we're going to spend more time on Paula's ass tonight. I'll see y'all in a minute. Okay, okay, we are back. We are back. Hopefully you are too. Oh yeah, so I hear my phone going off. There is a little definitely a delay, but let me turn that back down because we're back to business. So I don't need that on. All right, so here we go with the COVID vaccine. Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? My question is, are you ready for a mandatory COVID vaccine? There has been quite a bit of talk about it, but not as of late, right? But let me ask you, and I'll tell you why I thought about it now, because the report that I'm actually going to read, the first one anyway, was actually written on June 3rd, and I got it from well, I'll tell you where I got it from later. But the point of it is, they were talking at that time on June 3rd about the fact that there was a possibility of a mandatory COVID vaccine that would come into play, and it made me think about um well, something else that made me think about this. What made me think about this is what recently happened at Notre Dame. I'm not sure how much you all know about that, but at Notre Dame, just a couple days ago, or a few days ago, they had a game, some football game, and there was so much going on at the football game that they decided that they would probably make it necessary and mandatory that all the boys that were involved in the game had a mandatory COVID clearance or testing, COVID test for clearance, a clearance test, not a vaccine, but a clearance test. But because of the fact that it was mandatory, and we'll get into that later, it made me think about what I read on June 3rd, and the fact that if they would make this COVID clearance mandatory, there's a possibility that coming down the track, they're going to try and make the vaccine mandatory. Now, I'm sure many of you have been in conversations about that. I know I have. But I'm wondering what your thoughts on that is. What are your thoughts on the possibility of a mandatory COVID vaccine? Not a clearance. We'll talk about that later. But what are your thoughts on a mandatory COVID vaccine? And just let me know in the chat. While you're getting ready or thinking about that, I'm going to go ahead and read a piece from Vogel Law Firm. I found this online. So it says, and I won't read it all, but I'm going to read a bit of it. Many employers are beginning to call back employees who were temporarily allowed to telecommunicate, furloughed, or laid off in response to the COVID-19 crisis. As a measure to protect the workforce, some employers may be considering mandatory COVID testing of employees as a condition of their return. Can employers require mandatory testing or mandatory vaccines if one is developed later? What should employers do upon employee refusal? So I guess that's my question before we got off any other. What is your thought about that? What do you feel about the possibility of a mandatory COVID test? That's what I want to. That's what I want to know. Not test. I'm sorry. COVID vaccine. What do you feel about it? What would you do if your employer told you that you had to have a COVID vaccine in order to continue your job? And that's for anybody to answer. Any of you. What are your feelings? I know I had one of my girlfriends came in my office today at the store, and she said we were talking about the fact that she wants to go to Africa, but she doesn't want any vaccines at all. That's actually what made me think more about this. I've been thinking about it for the last few days, but when she came in and talking about that, I said, that's a really good topic or subject. She doesn't want any vaccine. She wants to go to Africa, but she don't want no vaccines at all. And I said to her, well, you're going to have a COVID clearance, definitely, right? She didn't want the clearance either. She said, I don't want the clearance either. I don't want. I said, well, I don't know how far you can. I don't know if you can. If you can go without it. And we started digging around, looking around for stuff. So that's kind of what really sparked the conversation. It made me really want to talk about it. So what do you feel about it? What do you feel about it? What are your initial thoughts about it? That's the part one. So let's stay there first. What are your initial thoughts about a mandatory COVID vaccine? Tracy said, I don't want to do it, but I have to work. I don't want to do it, but I have to work, she said. That's a valid reason. I don't want to do it, but I have to work. Anybody else? That's a very valid reason. So, why don't you want to do it, Tracy? Let me ask you that. Because people don't want to do it for several reasons, but why don't you want to take a COVID vaccine? If if they're telling us that it is going to, or maybe I should start here. Do you take any other vaccines? I mean, because I have, for instance, I've taken vaccines. I took them before I went to Africa in February, and and I have all the ones that they regularly tell you, with the exception of the flu shot. I've taken it a few times, but I didn't take it this year or last year. So why don't you want to take it, Tracy? And anyone else? Do me a favor, you all, please, and share the stream also while you're waiting and while you're thinking or just chilling. Do me a favor and share the stream. I have a goal of 1,000 subscribers before February 1st when I leave for Gambia, God willing. By the time I leave, I want to be able to video from my phone, from my YouTube account. So I need 1,000 subscribers, and I'm currently at, I think, 460. I think it is. So do me a favor. If you haven't subscribed, do that. If you haven't liked the channel or liked the video, please do that. And then also share the stream with another 2 or 3 people, if you will. Okay, so Tracy said, I don't want to do it, but I have to work because I don't trust Big Pharma. Good reason. And then she says, if companies are in a race to do anything, it's not safe. I was having that discussion with somebody absolutely today. I thought exactly about that, Tracy. If they are rushing, I had Famar laughing, but I'm serious though. I mean, maybe I was being a little facetious, but for the most part, I'm serious. I said to him, the way they rushing, we don't know what the after effects of that shit gonna be. What if it clear up your COVID-19 symptoms, but then you grow another ear next year? You got an ear growing out the side of your eye, a big old ear with wax and everything growing out the side of your eye. So yeah, maybe I'm being a little facetious, but the point is, there's no way they can know what the after effects of stuff of this something like this is when they're rushing the way they're rushing. There's no way they could know. I mean, right now, they come out with all these different medications and tell us, it's better. Yeah, this is going to be good for you, whatever ailment you might have. And a lot of times, it's no more than 2 or 3 months later, and we see the same thing, the same shit on TV. But this time, they're saying it took away your cough, but it causes cancer. So now they want to put you in a class action suit and help you get some money. Just craziness, because clearly they were more excited about getting your money from it than they were seeing it if it would really help you and if it did more damage than it should have, right? It shouldn't do any damage, but when you playing God, I guess you can just assume some of that stuff is what I think, right? Some of what you can just assume if you playing God anyway, and that's really what a lot of times they're doing. Yeah, right. If companies generate, so I agree with that. Anybody else on that topic? I agree with you 100%. So let me talk a little bit about while anybody else is answering, you can do that. But let me talk a little bit about the letter. How many of you heard about the thing that happened at Notre Dame? After the ball game, like I said, they got really close, of course. Well, they were playing ball, and after doing so, they got a letter, and the letter reads like this. I hope I can read it because it's really small and really, I have to take out my glasses for this. Okay, so it says, and this is from the University of Notre Dame, Office of the President, and it's going to the students, of course. So it says, because you are now even more concerned about the potential for contagion in your home communities as you prepare to travel home at the end of the semester, the university will place listen to this now. They didn't notice until after the game was over that they were going to be receive this here letter right here. The university will place a registration hold on the record of any student who fails to appear for testing when asked to do so. A registration hold would mean that you are unable to matriculate or register for classes next semester or receive a transcript. This is a change from an earlier communication from Aaron Hoffman Harding and Mike Salmon, which stated that those who failed to appear would lose priority status for registration. Furthermore, you may not leave the South Bend area until you receive the results of your exit test. Again, should we discover that you have left the area, we will place a registration hold on your record. There will be a zero tolerance for any gatherings that do not comport with our health and safety guidelines on our campus. Those found responsible for hosting such gatherings will face severe sanctions, yada, 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 yada. I thought, oh, that is really interesting. That's serious, right? Because they're telling these kids that if you don't take this test, and I understand why they want to take this. Don't get me wrong. I just think that we are riding a very slippery slope now, and I think that we should be aware of it. I'm not sure what all we can do about it, but I do think that we're on a very, very slippery slope in terms of citizens in this country. I don't know about what's going on in other countries. I'm talking about in this country, and I'm saying that for the same reason that Tracy made her comment earlier. We can't trust Big Pharma, right? We can't trust them. So if there's any way that we can avoid some of these things, I think that we should avoid them, right? Because we're getting it's a very slippery slope when they start telling you what you have to do and that you don't have a choice. One of the ladies I talked to today said, when we were talking about this immunization stuff, she said to me, she said, I just feel like, I thought this was very profound, simple and profound. She said, I feel like if there's a risk, that I ought to have a choice. I thought that's good right there. She said, if there's a risk, then I feel like I should have a choice. And that's how she feels when it comes to vaccinations and all that kind of stuff, right? Trace said, I got one better. Chase could not register for classes before the pandemic unless he got certain vaccines, plus his childhood ones. Before the pandemic. Unless he got certain vaccines, plus his childhood ones. Yeah, this is interesting. He had to get 3 in addition to what was on his records. That was mandatory, Tracy. I mean, I guess that's what you're saying, huh? It was mandatory. He could not register for classes, she said. Wow. And he's at a university or a college, one university or college, right? That's interesting. See, so this is very interesting. We really have to, I think, be aware. You had a deadline. Yeah, I think we really have to be aware. This is very, very University of Cincinnati. You know, we talk about, yeah. And so let me go back to what my girlfriend said about there being a risk. She feels like if there's a risk, then there should be a choice. And we know that there's a risk. And I think that's true. You should be given a choice. But that absolutely is not, we don't seem to be heading that way at all, right? So there was another piece on that I wanted to share with you from this article that was written on June 3rd. And so this is what I'm thinking about for people like some of us who may not want to, right? So there's an option, of course, usually when it has to do with religion. And then there's another option that they sometimes listen to. And I just kind of wanted to touch on them a little bit. This one says, other employees may resist testing for personal reasons. Under these circumstances, employers may remind employees that all medical information obtained will remain confidential. If the employee continues to refuse in the violation of a mandatory testing policy, now this is them talking about the possibility of testing and vaccine, right, in the workplace. Mandatory. If the employee continues to refuse in the violation of a mandatory testing policy, the employer can discipline the employee and or exclude him from the workplace until he agrees to be tested. That's what happened in the school, right, Trace? Employers should document any refusal to cooperate. Documenting refusal and the employee's workplace departure is particularly important in the event of a subsequent occupational safety and health administration related investigation. Tracy said, on a side note, Vic, boys will get no financial aid unless they register for the selective service. The government has way too. Whoa, I didn't know that. Is that new, Tracy, or is that something that has always been and I just wasn't aware of it? That the boy had to have. Wow, wow. That he had to register for selective service for financial aid. Because now, after I read it out loud, it seemed like it might have been familiar to me. Was that the case, like when we were there, or is that something new? It's not new, okay? I remember hearing something like that back in the day. I don't know how long, but I feel like it was when we were there that I remember hearing something like that. So yeah, more the same, huh? If they give you something, or at least if they give them, if they give the boy something, wow. So you're trading your life for that financial aid. That's really what it comes down to. So this is what I'm thinking. Okay, let me just read this one more thing, and then I'm gonna give my final thought on this, unless somebody else wants to talk about this. In recent guidance, the EEOC indicates that its position related to the mandatory flu vaccine would likely apply to a potential COVID-19 vaccine. That is, employees may be entitled to an exemption from any mandatory vaccination requirement based on a disability or a religious belief that prevents them from taking the vaccine. That's what the one I remember, the religious one, the disability one I didn't remember. To avoid these issues, the EEOC You can hear me now, right? Let me know you can hear me. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So there are a couple things I think we should think about. So the one thing is, if you really don't want to take the vaccine, then we really should look into these options of religious belief. Because if it's a religious belief or a spiritual belief, then of course those are reasons that many people haven't taken vaccines. And in actuality, whatever your spiritual beliefs are, whatever your personal beliefs are about immunizations, it can be a religious belief. It's religious for you. Do you understand? It's spiritual for you. I don't, it doesn't have to be stamped by the Catholic Church, So that's, I think, something that we should think about going forward, because this day is coming. I do believe this day is going to come. So we should think about that. Of course, if you have any kind of disability, like you said, I'm thinking that that would occur, refer to people like, for instance, you know how people say that they believe that vaccines can cause autism or can be bad for those who have autism, that kind of thing. If there are any kind of disabilities in your life, then that would be another reason that you might say, I don't want no kind of, immunization, of course. The other thing is something that Tracy mentioned, which is just a fact. But it's also another reason I think that Black people, our community, has to look at ways to be self-sustainable. We have to look at ways to sustain ourselves outside of our jobs. And I hope that you all hear me when I say this. When you hear my heart, and I'm not trying to belittle anyone, or I want you to think, she could left her job, now she won't hear think everybody ought to leave their job. I don't think that. I just think that, and it was a sacrifice. It's still a sacrifice. The fact that I left my job is a sacrifice. So I don't want anybody to think, that what I want you to think is that since I left, that it's smooth sailing. No, it's been interesting, and it's been good, and at times it's been bad, but it's almost like for me, marriage, right? There are a lot of ups and downs in marriage. There are a lot of ins and outs. There's some reason that you get up and you say, "Ooh, I love this man," or this woman. I love this man, whatever it is for you. And there's some days that you wake up and you say, if I catch you slipping, nickel, if I catch you slipping, it's going to be on and popping. You have both days, and quite a few of both. But at the same time, clearly I've determined that I'd rather deal with those days that are not that great and stay with the man I'm with. Right? Right, Tracy, knuckle. Right. I mean, because I could also say, I'm done with all of this and then move on. But you have to weigh the options, right? And for me, the good outweighs the bad. So I deal with it, right? And it's the same way when you make a choice to leave your job. Some days for me, I think, oh, if it could be a little more consistent. Then there are some days when ain't no way in the world I'd have made this kind of money on working a job every day. So you just have to learn how to balance, what you get. But I am saying this, that this is another reason I think that Black people as a whole, we need to start thinking about ways to be self-sustained, sustain ourselves. And many times in our jobs, we develop these skills and abilities, right, that we may not have originally had. And all we have to do to make some money outside our jobs oftentimes is to market those skills as a consultant. So that's something, hopefully that helps somebody. To take those skills that you have learned on your job, you perfected on your job, and learn how to market yourself and package it in a way that you can consult with the same skills and stuff. So that can move you out little by little what you're doing. One day you'll be able to just jump off into it if you spend enough time over in it. So that's a thought, right? That's a thought, and hopefully that helps somebody. So that's where I am with that whole COVID-19 piece. If anybody want to add to that, please do. Any questions, any comments, make your comments or questions now. Otherwise, we will move on very soon. So, that's where I am with that whole COVID-19 piece. I do believe that vaccinations are coming up the road and it won't be long. And I do believe they'll be mandatory and it won't be long. And if you're having any reservations about them, then I think that you should think about them now. Think about how to be self-sufficient on your for yourself, for one, and think about ways that you want to negate that you don't refuse them and in a lawful way. So that's that. Let me know what you think about that. And we're gonna get ready for what Amy wanted to talk about. I don't even see her on here. Amy, I hope you're still on here because we're about ready to talk about your girl. Her happy ass. Whoo, Lord. Tracy says she's getting an antibody test at the end of the month. I haven't have any testing yet, but I am, of course, have to take it for my trip. So I'm not really looking forward to it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So, moving right along. If you all are drinking anything else, let me know. I did put something else in my... I put a little bit of Evian in there. A little bit. And a little bit of this right here. You know when you see this bag, right? A little bit of... I'm still working. Y'all remember when I opened that? I opened that at when I was on my Airbnb getaway. So y'all see now, I don't hardly use it unless it's a Wednesday night. But anyway, little vanilla up in there, up in there, up in there. So now we're moving on. We are ready for what y'all know about her ass. Lord, and I was hoping I could show y'all the image, but the way that YouTube just kicked my ass off a minute ago, we won't be able to do that. But let me just go ahead and put this up so you can at least see this shit right here. What you know about this shit right here? What you know about her ass? Have you heard about Paula White and her Pastor Paula White and her, oh Lord, her prayer and request for the African angels. Did y'all hear about that? Please let me know. Let me know what y'all know about Paula White. Write it in the text. Let me know if you heard anything about it, or if you saw the video. Type 1. If you didn't hear anything about it, if you not saw the video, please type 2. Tracy said, Pastor Lily White, exactly. You talking about some shit right there. I'm waiting for y'all to let me know. Yes, you've heard about it. One, you've heard about it. Tracy, Amy thought she done woke up now. Okay, 1, you know about her. You've heard about her. 2, you have not. You don't know anything about this. Let me know. Type a 1 or 2 in the chat. This shit right here. All right, let me get my paperwork since I can't show y'all the video. Because YouTube gonna shut me out. So Paula White is a trick. Okay, allegedly. Okay, let me take that back. I shouldn't say that. I probably shouldn't say that. But I did anyway. But I'm gonna take that back. I can't say she's a trick. I ain't never been in her bedroom, so I can't say that. Anyway, I'm gonna say that she is a pastor. I guess she was a pastor, and I know her as being a pastor, and I think she sang, if I remember correctly. Amy, you would know the answer to that, I'm sure. Wasn't she a singer too? Was she doing worship music at one time, or am I just thinking about Vicky Yogi, somebody else that's, Lord have mercy. When we talk about the church gone wild, this is more of that. I didn't name it church going wild, but when you think about it, it's the same shit. It's the same shit. These people, now we're talking about these evangelicals, right? These evangelicals. Paula White is a pastor of a church. And when I was in church on a regular basis, I remember, so I'm talking about at this time, I'm thinking I was probably about 28, 29, maybe around this time. Paula White was on the Chitlin circuit. You hear me? She was on the Chitlin circuit. She was at every black church just about. And I remember hearing people talk about Paula White this, Paula White that. Ooh, Paula could. I believe she was singing and preaching. Amy, let me know. I know she was preaching, but I think she was singing too. Paula White came to our church. Paula White gonna be over soon. So Paula White. And I remember thinking, what the hell is Paula White? Right? Because I kept hearing her name so damn much. It was irritating. Finally, I get a look at Paula White. And Paula White is white. Wouldn't you know? I was thinking, she sure is getting a lot of traction in the black church. Her and that Vicky Yogi. That's a whole nother, we could do a whole show on her and her bullshit that she involved in. But anyway, I'll leave that alone, right? Because she not the subject today. It's Paula White. I heard her name so much that it would make my ears itch. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to hear nothing else about no Paula White. I heard a little bit of her preaching, not a much, but I wasn't impressed. But I wasn't impressed for this reason. I feel like the black community have enough people raping and robbing them, right? And oftentimes from the inside out. And I think it may as well be a type of blasphemy for white folks to come through the black church and rake up money in the black church. Because for one thing, I'm going to say this, that people may not feel too kindly about, but I just feel like this. In terms of spirituality and having a connection with God, I'm not looking for no white person to teach me that. I'm not. I'm not looking for no. I'm not looking for none of them to teach me that because I'm not. I'm not sure that you can. I'm not saying that they may. They don't. Some of them don't hear from God, and some of them don't have a word. I'm not saying that. But some of what I'm feeling, I really don't even have to explain because truly, the evangelicals and the white church in the U.S. Let me just say in the U.S. in the United States of America are showing the whole world who they really are and what they really believe in and what they really think about black folks. They really are showing it. And Paula White is one of those people. She is the pastor of. Let me just read this real quickly and give you some background on her. But let me tell you what she did first. She is supposed to be a what do you call it? What do you call a person that works in the White House and has the advisor? She's supposed to be the spiritual advisor to Donald Trump, like Donald Trump has a spiritual advisor. And I'm saying that because there is nothing that I see in Donald Trump's behavior that says that he has any kind of connection to the God that I have a connection to, right? He may have one to a God, but it's hard for me to believe that Donald Trump has a connection, any kind of connection to any kind of God that I serve, that I have a relationship. I don't feel like, let me just leave that there. Because the things that I have taught, okay, Amy said she didn't sing, okay. The things that I have been taught about God, the things that I know about God, his makeup and the makeup of God, I'm not even gonna say him, God's makeup, I don't know if it's a he or she, I don't know. But the makeup is of love, right? The kernel is love. And I don't see in any of Donald Trump's behavior anything that has to do with love. The majority of what I see has to do with self-love, but not love, right? Now, moving right along, Paula White, however, is supposed to be the spiritual advisor for Donald Trump. The spiritual advisor, right? So she is praying earlier this week or last week, maybe it was the end of last week. She's praying for Donald Trump, to win the election, right? And so she begins to call on, now listen to this. Now these are white evangelicals, and she works side by side with Donald Trump. She now has my understanding from one of the videos that I watched earlier. From my understanding, she even has moved in. She now works at the White House. And one time she was advising him, coming in and out the White House. But now she's there at the White House. And if you get a good look at her, and you did, and I'll show you another picture soon, she also looks like his type, don't she? She looked to me just like the type of women that you see him with in his pictures and what have you when he was hanging out at the Playboy Ranch and so on and so forth. She looked just like that type, the tricky type, the tricky type. So let me read this article I found about it. Pastor Paula White this is the name, here's an article. Pastor Paula White calls on angels from Africa and South America to bring Trump to victory. Y'all heard what I said. Let me just put this other picture to real quick while I'm doing it. I want y'all to see this one too. Look at that. Do that look like a spiritual advisor to you? Or do it look like a trick? That's a spiritual advisor, y'all. Does that look like a spiritual advisor or a trick? I'm just saying. I ain't saying nothing really. I'm just saying. Right? Tracy said, he's on a golf course. He don't see her ever. Look like you see her, Trace, at some point. All right. Let me read this. I'm going to just leave that up there for a minute when I start reading. Mega church pastor and televangelist, COVID hug, right. Mega church pastor and evangelist, Donald Trump, and this is from USA Today, mind you. Paula White Kane, who is spiritual advisor to President Donald Trump, delivered a prayer service Wednesday night in an effort to secure Trump's re-election. During the service, which was streamed on Facebook Live, White Kane called on angelic reinforcement from the continent's, now listen to this, y'all, If y'all haven't seen this video, y'all gotta look for it, because I got it to show you, but YouTube ain't gonna let me. Listen to this. She called on angelic reinforcement from the continents of Africa and South America. You heard me right. We'll come back to that. Listen to this. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it's done, she said. For angels have ever been dispatched from Africa right now. In the name of Jesus from South America, they're coming. In her prayer, White Cane is also heard speaking in tongues, an occurrence in which a speaker talks in a language they do not know, usually during an intense religious experience. Speaking in tongues has been practiced in multiple Christian denominations as well as other religions. White's video has gone viral since it went online Wednesday night, and many have expressed outrage over her words. God is sending angels from a place Trump called... No, I'm sorry. No, that's wrong. This is Bishop Talbert talking now. He said, God is sending angels from a place Trump called a shithole country to help him get reelected. Bishop Talbert Swan, a pastor, activist, and NAACP chapter, wrote on Twitter, I hear the sounds of victory, he said, which is what she said. He said, consider a hearing aid. She'll be lucky if Stephen Miller doesn't send those angels to ICE detention centers, wrote Ana Navarro Cardenas, political strategist and commentator for CNN, Telemundo, and The View. White Cane also stated that demonic confederacies, listen to this, y'all, are attempting to steal the election from Trump. As of Thursday morning, Joe Biden had 264 electoral votes and Trump 214, according to USA Today. Even before outrage over Wednesday's video, White Cane was a controversial figure in Christian circles because she preaches prosperity theology, a belief that God will reward believers with material wealth if they donate generously to religious causes. Let me read some of these before I go ahead. She said, no, she didn't sing absolutely. Okay, COVID hug. Okay, Ami King Bay said, you know them forced vaccination shots and children forced vaccination shots without a parent's consent is coming. I feel like they coming too, Ami King Bay. I feel like they are too. I feel like it's just a matter of time and it won't be long. That's why we have to prepare, in one way or another to deal with it. Amy Johnson, demonic angels from Africa. Amy said, you show right. If her prayer doesn't manifest, she's fired. She'd be fired anyway. Oh, she dealing with some spirits. Omni, you'll see me on the news. Okay, listen. So here's the thing. This is what I'm thinking. When she said, I wish I could bring this video up. When her ass said, she's bringing angels from Africa, even in from Africa. I thought to myself, why would an angel from Africa come up here to help your ass? Why would an angel from Africa come to do that? If an angel from Africa was coming to meet you, it wouldn't be for good. And here's the other thing. This is why I called her Karen on the thing. This is what I thought. I wish I could bring up this video. I thought, now this is the quintessential Karen. Her ass is going to make the angels from Africa and South America somebody that you ain't never gave a fuck about. But now your ass going to bring in the African angels and the South American angels to come in and put Donald Trump in the White House, who don't give a fuck about the Africans or the South Americans. How much more privileged can you be? Now that's the ultimate example of a Karen to me. How much more privileged could you be? That now you're going to go to the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm, and make things work just like you want them to work. Listen, if the angels come from Africa, they're going to be coming on my behalf, not yours. You feel me? If they decide to come this way, they're coming on my behalf, not the behalf of Paula White's ass, and definitely not Trump to chump. Are you kidding me? She is the quintessential Karen. You don't get more Karen than that. Amy said she's dealing with some spirits. Okay, Amy said, and then Wakanda showed up at the polls. Boom. Exactly. Wakanda showed up at the polls, and you're right about that. So here's my question, though. Speaking of that, so are we? Okay, wait. Before I do that, because that's gonna take me a whole nother direction. Let me read this to you. This is from. That one was from USA Today. This one is from Mother Jones, which I thought was funny. So I want to read this one to y'all. How much can I read, though? Let me see. There's quite a bit. So let me see what I can read. Okay, it says, how do you get from, listen, this is from motherjones.com. Tracy said, they may have been praying to Satan and dropping racial undertones at the same time. Now, you're right about that. You're right about that, Tracy, because it's very clear. It's becoming very clear also that there's a lot of demonic stuff that's been going on inside of the four walls of churches, and passed off as something that was holy, that was absolutely opposite of that. I don't know how much y'all been hearing about that, but it's out there. It's out there, and the shit is coming to a head. Okay, this is motherjones.com. How do you get from a trailer park to a White House job? Give money to Trump's spiritual advisor. That's the title, right? Paula White urges her followers to pay her instead of their bills. On a Friday morning on February, televangelist Paula White Kane spent more than 2 hours preaching at the King Jesus Church Supernatural Ministry School in Miami. Here we go again with them long ass. They believe that they think the longer the title is, the more you're going to believe they saved. That's what I think. The longer the title is, the more you're going to believe that they are holy. Let me read that to you again. She spent 2 hours preaching at the King Jesus Church Supernatural Ministry School in Miami, with top billing on the event website as Donald Trump's spiritual advisor. White stood in front of a stage with a light show befitting a Pink Floyd cover band, with a sanctuary that holds 7,000 people. One of the nation's largest Latina churches was packed with apostles and prophets who'd come to be activated in God's supernatural power and learn to expand their ministry. They call me trailer trash, White said. As an interpreter in a blue-black suit jacket translated her words into Spanish, she said, but our God's in the recycling business. Our God's in the recycling business. With her husband, the keyboardist for Journey, providing a stirring backtrack, White testified about her own rags to riches tale, starting with her humble roots in Tupelo, Mississippi, her father's suicide, her out-of-wedlock teen pregnancy, her years working her way up from janitorial to Sunday school teacher at a Maryland church. God kept opening doors until eventually 19 years ago, I get a phone call out of the blue from this man named Donald Trump, she said. Recalling the day in 2002 when the twice divorced New York real estate mogul reached out to her after catching her show on a local Florida TV station. He said, "You're fantastic," he said. "You have the it factor." I said, "Sir, we call that the anointing." White said the Lord told her to help Trump know God. I took on that assignment, never knowing that one day that man that God told me to show him who he was, would become the president of the United States of America, she told the crowd, which cheered with enthusiasm. God kept opening doors until eventually 19 years ago. Okay, she got herself, okay. As one of the only women in the male-dominated, listen to this, y'all. I was looking at some pictures earlier, and I thought, her ass is the only woman in there with all the men. Probably being passed around. I don't know that to be true. I'm just speculating. As one of the only women in the male-dominated world of TV preachers, White long ago reached evangelical celebrity status, publishing nearly a dozen books. Let me go back. I'm going to read that one little thing again. So I'm going to make a point right here. As one of the only women in the male-dominated world of TV preachers, White long ago reached evangelical celebrity status, publishing nearly a dozen books
launching a successful TV show and mentoring to everyone from the late Michael Jackson to the New York Yankees. But she has now accomplished something no other televangelist has ever achieved, a job in the White House. Since the end of October, she has served as the advisor to the White House Faith and Opportunity Initiative, which Trump created through an executive order in 2018 as part of the White House Office of Public Liaison. As such, her official duties entail consulting with the faith community on such social issues as poverty and crime prevention and making recommendations to the White House Domestic Policy Council. So let me tell you what I thought about when I was reading those two little sentences. As one of the only women in the male-dominated world of TV preachers, White long ago reached evangelical celebrity status, blah, 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 blah. Typically, when somebody go flying up the rank like this, when they're in entertainment, because that's really what this is, right? Because when you talk about these televangelists and you talk about this, it's all show business, right? Typically, when somebody climbs up the rank faster than anybody else, we find out later, after the fact, that they were involved in all kind of scandal, and usually sexual scandal, usually. And there may be some money scandals involved, but usually they're sexual scandals, right? Grotesque sexual scandals. And we find out that because they played, they got paid. Isn't that correct? I mean, that's in my experience. That's what I've experienced. That's what I know of. When they go flying to the top, leaving everybody else behind, you like, how did that happen? A lot of times it happened because they did what they needed to do to get where they needed to go. So when I see people like Paula White, and you wonder, why would somebody, if they were truly godly, be this wrapped up in somebody who clearly don't, who his definition, I mean, when he talks about women, he talks about grabbing them in the pussy, right? He has no respect. He's a misogynist. That's clear. That's very clear, right? He doesn't have a lot of respect for anybody. But when we talk about women, I'm saying to you, when he talk about women, that's the kind of stuff that he says. And she in a room, in the pictures I saw, she was in a room with all these men, it's her and all these men. And I thought, wow, I wonder how you can be so comfortable in there. And then I thought about this. I thought, right, Amy, right. She said, is John Gray on this topic? No, but he will be next week. I started to do him, but it's going to take me more time to do him. His ass. Adventure. What's her name? Adventure? Somebody calls her the Avenger because she always avenging his sins. Somebody call her the Avenger. Aventer. That's her name. Aventer. Need to put his ass. Maybe not. We'll wait for later for that. But when I see Paula White in her all cozied up and what have you with this guy right here, ain't no question in my mind about what she doing to stay where she at. I'm just saying, look at where his hands at. Look where his hands at. That's how you hug your woman or your wife, right? Ain't they chummy? Yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit right there. So that's my thought on that. Let me know what y'all think on it. Let me know what you think about it. But first of all, Paula White is too fucking racist to be calling on any but it lets you know any kind of angels from any other nation, really, she's too fucking racist for that. But the other piece is the fact that she feels, that lets you know how disconnected that she is. The fact that she feels like she could even let something like that come out of her mouth will let you know how disconnected she is and how much of a Karen she is, how privileged she is. She's so privileged that she can call over the ancestors to work on her behalf. The descendant of slaves. The descendant of slave owners. You feel what I'm saying? Tupelo, Mississippi. The descendant of slave owners. You so privileged that your ass can call over the ancestors from Africa to help to come and war on your behalf. She is a fucking idiot. She is an idiot. She's an absolute idiot. Okay, let me know what y'all think about that. That's my spiel on Paula Jones' ass. She's an idiot. And not only is she an idiot, those who follow her, who would stay under her, I wish y'all, listen, do me a favor. When y'all get through, maybe I can, I can do this. I already have the link. Wait a minute. I might be able to get the link real fast. Hold on. Let me see. If I can get this link, I'm going to put it in the chat because I want y'all to see this video when y'all get off here that shows her. And it's almost like a little, it's like a little collection of stuff that she's been involved in, things in terms of her with Trump. And some of the stuff that come out of her mouth is unbelievable. You figure, how in the world is she serious? But of course she is. She getting paid and probably getting laid. So, and splayed. Okay, let me see. All right, I can't pull it up now without cutting y'all off. But I will put it in the link once this video, when I close down. I'll put the video because it's a great snapshot, and it's about 7 minutes, but it's a great snapshot of what she really believes, right? What her beliefs are, and when it comes to Trump, why she's so involved with him, what her true beliefs are. And in order to have them beliefs, you can't care nothing about your black parishioners. I'm just saying that. You can't care nothing about the black community if you that tied up the way she's tied up. And she said in one clip, she said, and she used a scripture to back it up, but her point was, she said, saying no, this is what she said. She said, saying no to Trump would be like saying no to God. Or either saying no to Trump is saying no to God. One or two, she said, and I'm just not going to do that. I thought, oh, she's a goner. She's a goner. And what's sad is that anybody under her leadership is going to be a goner because she got a very strong spirit. She's very strong. Very, she ain't no meek soul. It's very strong spirit. So she's leading people somewhere. She lead them somewhere. And lots of people. You feel me? And lots of people. So, let me know what you think about that. What are your last and final thoughts on Paula White, who ain't quite right? Let me know what you got on Paula White, who ain't quite right. Let me know. And while you were doing that, for your last thoughts in the chat, we'll go ahead and this is our wrap up. We're going to wrap it up is what we're going to do. We're wrapping it up. So whatever your thoughts are, please put them in the chat. Make sure that you share the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming in, hanging out. I'm so happy that you're here tonight. I really am. We are wrapping up our topics. Our first topic. Any thought that you have on the topics as I call them off, go ahead and write a little something in the chat. But the first topic, of course, was Dave Chappelle. What did you get out of? What is your takeaway? What is your takeaway from that Dave Chappelle SNL monologue? Let me know. The second thing we talked about was COVID-19, and that is the possibility of mandatory vaccines. What is your What is your thoughts? What are your thoughts on mandatory vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines? Let me know. Please put that in the chat. What are your final thoughts on the COVID-19 mandatory vaccine, if we go that route? And I'm pretty sure that we will. What are your final thoughts on that? And then finally, what do you think about Paula White's ass, the quintessential Karen? What do you think about the quintessential Karen? Let us know. What do you think about the quintessential Karen? That is our wrap up. And our wrap up was, of course, it was sponsored by Brown Sugar Babies. We are the purveyors of our all-natural Brown Sugar Baby Shea Souffle, artisan jewelry and accessories, and Afrocentric trinkets and gifts. You can get what you need if you're looking for any of these items on our website at www.brownsugarbabies.com. That's www.brownsugarbabies.com. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time and your, again, please put your final thoughts in the chat. Even a final thought about the show today. What did you think about the show today? Let me know. What did you think about the platform today? We try to do a little bit of upgrade from what we did last week. So hopefully you can see the changes. I know that we had an issue with, I found out something today I didn't know, and that is I cannot play a clip that long from YouTube through this program, so I won't do that again. But let us know. Give me some any kind of any thoughts about improvement. Let me know. Any suggestions? Let me know. I would appreciate it. I really would.
Thanks for hanging out with 3T. Now you can help us build this platform by simply taking a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you again. Have a great night, a wonderful week. Love you to life. Wish you plenty of blessings and much love. Let's do it again next week. Same place, same time.